In the far reaches of the galaxy, on a planet called Lumina, something extraordinary was about to happen. Lumina was known for its shimmering oceans and glowing skies, making it the perfect place for important meetings. On this day, the Galactic Council had gathered there. This council was made up of leaders from many advanced civilizations across the stars. Their job was to discuss big issues like peace, trade, and how to share resources fairly. Among those present was Hai Jin, a young but ambitious diplomat. Hai Jin came from the Piscorians, an aquatic race that lived underwater in beautiful coral cities. He was eager to make his mark and show everyone what his people could contribute. Sitting near him was Yoon Seok, a quiet but respected military strategist. Yoon Seok wasn't one to speak much, but when he did, people listened because his ideas were always sharp and well thought out. The meeting started off as usual. Representatives took turns talking about their planet's needs and concerns. Some argued over mining rights in certain star systems, while others debated new rules for interstellar travel. It all seemed routine, until the alarms went off. At first, no one knew what was happening. Red lights flashed throughout the Grand Council chamber, and loud sirens filled the air. Everyone stopped speaking and looked around nervously. Something unusual had been detected in their sector of space. When the main screen flickered to life, showing footage from the council's sensors, gasps echoed through the room. There, appearing out of nowhere, was a massive object. At first glance, it looked like a rogue moon, or perhaps a derelict spaceship. But as the image zoomed in, jaws dropped. What they saw wasn't just any celestial body, it was an entire planet surrounded by a strange, glowing energy shield. And not just any planet. It was Earth. Earth? How could that be? Everyone in the room knew about Earth. It was a primitive world, home to humans who barely understood basic space travel. They hadn't even left their own solar system yet. Yet here it was, hurtling through space at speeds no one thought possible. Sumin, the council's leader, stood up quickly. She was a calm and wise figure, someone everyone trusted to guide them through crises. "Silence!" she commanded, raising her hand. The noise in the chamber died down immediately. "We need answers now," she said firmly. Turning to her aides, she ordered, "Analyze everything you can about this phenomenon." The council members whispered among themselves, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. How had Earth managed to move itself across light years of space? Was it some kind of weapon? Or maybe an experiment gone horribly wrong? No one had ever seen anything like it before. Heijin leaned forward in his seat, his eyes glued to the screen. He couldn't believe what he was witnessing. His mind raced with questions. Could the humans have developed technology beyond anyone's expectations? If so, why hadn't they shared it earlier? And more importantly, why were they here now? Yoon Seok remained silent, but his expression betrayed deep concern. As a military strategist, he knew appearances could be deceiving. That glowing energy shield surrounding Earth worried him. Shields like that weren't easy to create. Whoever or whatever was behind this must have incredible power. Back on Earth, things were chaotic. People stared up at the sky in confusion. The sun had disappeared, replaced by unfamiliar stars. Panic spread rapidly as news outlets tried to explain what was happening. Some claimed it was the end of the world, while others speculated about alien invasions. Governments scrambled to respond, calling emergency meetings and deploying troops to maintain order. Amid the chaos, a woman named Ji-eun worked frantically in her lab. Ji-eun was a physicist, one of the brightest minds on Earth. Just days ago, she had been testing a device called the Chrono Engine, a machine designed to manipulate time and space. Her goal had been simple: to explore whether humanity could bend reality enough to solve its biggest problems. But something had gone terribly wrong during the test. Instead of creating small ripples in space-time, the engine had generated a massive field that enveloped the entire planet. Ji-eun realized too late that her invention had somehow transported Earth to another part of the galaxy. Now, she faced the daunting task of figuring out how to fix it, and fast. While Ji-eun worked, another person watched events unfold closely. Hyun-soo was a journalist known for digging up secrets. He had connections within government agencies and often uncovered information others wanted to keep hidden. When reports surfaced about classified experiments involving alien artifacts, Hyun-soo smelled a story. Could Earth's sudden arrival in deep space be linked to these experiments? As hours passed, tensions grew both on Earth and in the Galactic Council chambers. Soo-min called for immediate action. "We cannot ignore this," she told her fellow council members. "Earth's presence here disrupts everything we've built. We must establish contact and learn their intentions." Hae-jin nodded in agreement. Despite his shock, he felt a glimmer of hope. Perhaps this event would force humanity to step onto the galactic stage sooner than expected. Maybe Earth's arrival wasn't a threat, but an opportunity for everyone. Meanwhile, Yoon-seok quietly observed the discussions. He didn't trust Earth's sudden appearance. Something about it felt calculated. As the council prepared to send a delegation to investigate, Yoon-seok resolved to stay vigilant. Whatever answers they found, he knew they would change the galaxy forever. And so, the stage was set. A primitive planet had appeared in the heart of advanced civilization, leaving everyone speechless. Questions swirled, fears mounted, and possibilities loomed large. For better or worse, Earth's arrival marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. Back on Earth, chaos reigned. The world was in a state of shock. People looked up at unfamiliar stars, their faces pale with fear and confusion. Social media buzzed with theories, some wild, others terrifying. Was this an alien attack? Had scientists accidentally triggered a doomsday scenario? Or was it divine punishment for humanity's sins? In the midst of this pandemonium, Ji-yoon worked tirelessly in her lab. Her hands trembled as she analyzed data from the chrono engine, trying to understand how her invention had caused such a catastrophe. She hadn't slept in days, surviving on coffee and sheer determination. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes of the glowing energy field that now surrounded Earth, cutting them off from the rest of the universe. Ji-yoon wasn't alone in her efforts. A team of top scientists had been assembled by the United Nations to assist her. They pored over calculations, ran simulations, and debated possible solutions. But every attempt to reverse the effects of the chrono engine failed. It was as if the machine had locked Earth into its current position, defying all known laws of physics. As Ji-yoon stared at the screen showing endless streams of data, she felt a mix of guilt and resolve. "This is my fault," she whispered to herself. "But maybe it's also our chance." Her mind raced with possibilities. If Earth was stuck here, surrounded by advanced civilizations, then humanity needed to adapt, and fast. Maybe the chrono engine could be used not just to undo the damage, but to protect Earth from whatever threats lay ahead. While Ji-eun wrestled with these thoughts, another person watched events unfold closely. Hyun-soo, the skeptical journalist, had uncovered something big. For years, he'd been investigating rumors about secret government experiments involving alien technology. Now, pieces of the puzzle were starting to come together. Hyun-soo dug through. Classified documents leaked by anonymous sources. What he found shocked him. Decades ago, humans had discovered fragments of alien machinery buried deep beneath Antarctica's ice. Scientists had studied these artifacts in secret, attempting to unlock their secrets. Some believed the knowledge gained from these relics had directly influenced modern technology, from smartphones to satellites. But there was more. According to the documents, recent tests involved combining human engineering with alien designs. Could Ji-eun's chrono engine have been part of this project? Was Earth's sudden arrival less accidental than it seemed? Determined to expose the truth, Hyun-soo wrote a detailed article connecting the dots. He described how governments had hidden evidence of extraterrestrial contact and speculated that Earth's relocation might have been intentional, an experiment gone wrong, or perhaps even a desperate bid for survival in a hostile galaxy. When the article went live online, it spread like wildfire. Millions read it within hours, sparking outrage and panic. Protesters gathered outside government buildings demanding answers. Conspiracy theorists claimed Earth was being targeted by aliens who wanted revenge. Others accused global leaders of risking humanity's future for their own gain. The backlash forced officials to act. World leaders convened in secret underground bunkers, debating how to respond to both the crisis and public pressure. Some argued for transparency, urging governments to admit what they knew. Others pushed for stricter censorship, fearing widespread panic would only make things worse. Amid the turmoil, Jian found herself summoned to one of these high-level meetings. She walked into the dimly lit room, feeling out of place among powerful politicians and military officers. They bombarded her with questions, pressing her for details about the chrono engine and whether it posed any danger to Earth's safety. "I didn't mean for this to happen," Ji-yoon explained, her voice steady despite her nerves. "The engine was supposed to manipulate space-time on a small scale, to test possibilities for solving global issues like climate change or resource shortages. I never imagined it would affect the entire planet." One of the generals leaned forward, his expression grim. "So you're saying we're stuck here? Floating in space, surrounded by who knows what?" Jion hesitated before answering. "Not necessarily. The energy shield protecting us seems stable, for now. But reversing the process will take time. And even then, I'm not sure we'll end up back where we started." Her words sent a ripple of unease through the room. If Earth couldn't return home, what did that mean for humanity's future? Would they have to fight for survival against advanced alien species, or could they somehow coexist peacefully? As discussions continued, Hyun-soo grew increasingly frustrated. Despite his exposé, governments refused to confirm or deny his claims. Instead, they issued vague statements urging calm and cooperation. Determined to dig deeper, Hyun-soo turned his attention to Ji-eun. If anyone held the key to understanding Earth's predicament, it was her. He tracked her movements, staking out her lab and following her whenever she left. At first, Ji-eun dismissed him as a nuisance, but when Hyun-soo confronted her outside her apartment late one night, she realized he wouldn't give up easily. "You need to tell people the truth," Hyun-soo said, his tone urgent. "They deserve to know why this happened." Ji-yoon sighed, rubbing her temples. "And what good would that do? Telling everyone won't change anything. Right now, we need focus, not panic." "But keeping secrets won't help either," Hyun-soo shot back. "People are scared because they don't understand what's going on. Transparency might actually save us." For a moment, Ji-eun considered his words. She hated lying to the public, but revealing everything could cause more harm than good. Still, she couldn't ignore the fact that Hyun-soo had a point. Trust was crucial if humanity hoped to survive. "Fine," she said finally. "I'll think about it. But in the meantime, stay out of my way. I have work to do." With that, she turned and walked back inside, leaving Hyun-soo standing alone in the cold night air. He watched her go, knowing he'd struck a nerve. Whatever secrets Ji-eun was hiding, he was determined to uncover them. Meanwhile, aboard the Galactic Council's flagship, preparations were underway to investigate Earth's arrival. Soo-min led the effort, assembling a delegation of diplomats, scientists, and security personnel. Their mission was clear: establish contact with humanity and assess their intentions. Hai-jin volunteered to join the team, eager to see Earth up close. As someone representing the Piscorians, he hoped to bridge the gap between humans and the Council. Yoon-seok, however, remained suspicious. He voiced his concerns during a briefing, warning against underestimating humanity's potential. "They may seem primitive," Yoon-seok said, "but look what they've already achieved. We can't afford to let our guard down." Soo-min nodded thoughtfully. "You're right. Caution is essential, but we must also approach them with openness. First impressions matter." As the delegation prepared to depart, Hai-jin couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. Humanity had entered the galactic stage in the most unexpected way possible. Whether they brought peace or conflict remained to be seen, but one thing was certain: Earth's arrival had left the galaxy holding its breath. Hours later, the Council's fleet approached Earth cautiously. Ships hovered just beyond the glowing energy shield, scanning for signs of hostility. Inside the flagship's command center, tension filled the air. Everyone waited anxiously for the first sign of communication from the mysterious blue planet below. But Earth remained silent. The Galactic Council's fleet hovered silently in space, its ships casting long shadows over Earth's glowing energy shield. The planet below looked peaceful, almost serene, with its swirling blue oceans and white clouds. But appearances could be deceiving. No one aboard the flagship knew what to expect from this strange new arrival, or whether humanity was even aware of their presence. Inside the command center, Su Min stood at the forefront, her calm demeanor masking the tension simmering beneath the surface. She had spent decades leading the council through crises, but this situation was unlike anything she'd ever faced. A primitive civilization had suddenly appeared in the heart of advanced interstellar society, defying every rule of galactic diplomacy. Now it was up to her team to make sense of it all. He-Jin stood nearby, his gills fluttering slightly as he adjusted to the dry air of the ship. As a representative of the aquatic Piscorians, he felt out of place among land-dwelling species, but his curiosity outweighed his discomfort. He watched the monitors intently, searching for any sign of movement or communication from Earth. Yoon Seok, meanwhile, remained stationed near the security console, his sharp eyes scanning for potential threats. His distrust of humanity hadn't waned, even after days of observation. For hours, there was no response from Earth. The Council's attempts to broadcast messages using universal translators went unanswered. It was as if the humans either couldn't hear them or were deliberately ignoring them. Frustration mounted among the delegation members. Some suggested taking more aggressive action, like breaching the energy shield to force contact. Others argued for patience, believing that rushing in might provoke hostility. Back on Earth, Ji-eun monitored the alien fleet's movements from her lab. She had detected their approach days ago and immediately warned global leaders not to engage until they understood the situation fully. "We don't know their intentions," she had said during an emergency meeting. "If we act too quickly, we risk escalating things." Her warnings fell on deaf ears. Hyun-Soo, the relentless journalist, had leaked classified information about the aliens' presence to the public. His article spread panic across the globe, fueling conspiracy theories and calls for retaliation. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, demanding answers and action. Some nations began mobilizing, their militaries preparing for what they feared might become an invasion. Despite the chaos, Ji-eun refused to give up. She worked around the clock, analyzing data from the chrono engine and trying to stabilize the energy shield surrounding Earth. If nothing else, she reasoned, they needed to ensure humanity's protection while figuring out their next move. Finally, after days of silence, Su-min decided it was time to take a bold step. "We've waited long enough," she announced to her team. "If Earth won't respond, we'll go to them." With that, she ordered a small landing party to descend to the planet's surface. He-Jin volunteered to join, eager to see humanity firsthand. Yoon Seok reluctantly agreed to accompany them, insisting on maintaining tight security protocols. The landing site chosen was near Seoul, South Korea, one of Earth's most technologically advanced cities. As the Council's shuttle descended, through the atmosphere, the crew marveled at the sight below. Towering skyscrapers glittered under the artificial lights, while highways buzzed with vehicles moving like tiny insects. Despite Earth's apparent primitiveness, there was no denying the ingenuity of its inhabitants. When the shuttle touched down, however, the scene that greeted them was far from welcoming. Armed soldiers surrounded the craft, their weapons trained on the hatch. Civilians gathered at a safe distance, pointing cameras and shouting questions in languages the aliens didn't understand. Tension hung thick in the air, threatening to erupt into violence at any moment. Su-min stepped forward cautiously, raising her hands to signal peace. Behind her, He-Jin followed, clutching a portable translator device. When he activated it, the machine emitted a series of clicks and whirs before producing broken but comprehensible Korean. "We come in peace," He-Jin said haltingly, his voice trembling slightly. "We mean no harm." At first, the soldiers hesitated, unsure how to react. Then a commanding officer stepped forward, lowering his weapon slightly. Through the translator, he demanded, "Who are you? Why are you here?" He-Jin exchanged a glance with Su-min before replying. "We are representatives of the Galactic Council. We seek to understand why your planet has arrived in our galaxy." The officer frowned, clearly skeptical. "You expect us to believe that? Prove it." Yoon Seok stepped forward, his hand resting on the hilt of his weapon. "We have no reason to lie," he said firmly, his words translated into Korean. "Your sudden appearance disrupts the balance of our galaxy. We need answers, not excuses." Before tensions could escalate further, Ji-eun arrived on the scene. She had been monitoring the situation closely and rushed to the landing site as soon as she heard about the council's arrival. Pushing her way through the crowd, she approached the aliens, her expression calm but determined. "I'm Ji-eun," she introduced herself, addressing Hae-jin directly since he seemed to speak some Korean. "I'm responsible for, well, whatever brought us here." Hae-jin blinked in surprise. "You?" he asked, gesturing toward the glowing energy shield overhead. "You did this?" Ji-eun nodded. "It was an accident. A malfunction during an experiment. I didn't mean for it to happen." Sumin listened carefully, her gaze softening. "An accident," she repeated thoughtfully. Turning to Ji-eun, she added, "Then perhaps we can work together to resolve this. Tell me, what is this energy field surrounding your planet?" Ji-eun hesitated, unsure how much to reveal, but something about Sumin's tone reassured her. Taking a deep breath, she explained the basics of the chrono engine and its unintended consequences. She emphasized that stabilizing the shield was critical to preventing further disruptions and possibly finding a way to return Earth to its original position. As Ji-eun spoke, Sumin's expression shifted from suspicion to cautious optimism. "If what you say is true," she said, "then cooperation may be our best option. But trust must be earned, not given freely." Hyun-soo watched the exchange from the sidelines, scribbling notes furiously. He recognized the significance of this moment, humanity's first official contact with extraterrestrial life. Yet he couldn't shake the feeling that something was being left unsaid. What secrets were these aliens hiding? And why had they come? Armed if their intentions were truly peaceful? Despite lingering doubts on both sides, progress was made. Sumin proposed setting up a temporary base near Seoul to facilitate communication and collaboration. In return, she requested access to Ji-eun's research, promising to share knowledge that might help stabilize the energy shield. Ji-eun agreed, though she insisted on keeping certain details classified, for now. As the initial standoff eased, humanity began to process the reality of their situation. News outlets broadcast footage of the alien landing, sparking a mix of awe and fear. Some people celebrated the historic encounter, viewing it as proof of humanity's potential to stand alongside advanced civilizations. Others saw it as a threat, accusing the government of selling out to invaders. Through it all, Ji-eun remained focused on her mission. She knew that Earth's survival depended on finding common ground with the Council and proving that humanity deserved a place in the stars. For better or worse, first contact had been established. But the real challenge lay ahead, building trust in a galaxy where uncertainty reigned supreme. The days following first contact were a whirlwind of activity. Humanity and the Galactic Council had taken tentative steps toward cooperation, but beneath the surface, tensions simmered. Ji-eun worked tirelessly alongside Sumin's team, sharing what she could about the chrono engine while carefully guarding its most sensitive secrets. She knew that revealing too much too soon might put Earth at risk, and possibly her life as well. In the temporary base set up near Seoul, scientists from both sides collaborated in makeshift labs. Alien technology mingled with human ingenuity, creating an atmosphere of cautious curiosity. Hae-jin found himself fascinated by humanity's resourcefulness. Despite their relatively primitive status, humans displayed creativity and determination that rivaled even the most advanced species in the galaxy. He spent hours observing Ji-eun as she explained her theories, her passion infectious despite the gravity of the situation. Yoon Seok, however, remained skeptical. While he participated in joint efforts to stabilize the energy shield, his instincts told him there was more to this story than met the eye. He couldn't shake the feeling that the Council's leaders weren't being entirely honest about their intentions, or why they had arrived so quickly after Earth's appearance. His suspicions deepened when he overheard fragments of private conversations between Sumin and her aides. One evening, while walking through the base's corridors, Yoon Seok noticed two council members speaking in hushed tones. They stopped abruptly when they saw him approaching, exchanging nervous glances before excusing themselves. It wasn't the first time something like this had happened. Yoon-seok began piecing together clues, suspecting that factions within the council had ulterior motives for engaging with Earth. Meanwhile, Hyun-soo continued digging for answers. His earlier article exposing government experiments involving alien artifacts had sparked outrage, but it also opened doors for him. Anonymous. Sources began feeding him information about secret meetings between global leaders and representatives from other alien races. Some of these aliens, Hyun-soo learned, viewed Earth's arrival not as an opportunity, but as a threat, one that needed to be neutralized before it grew out of control. Hyun-soo's investigation led him to uncover rumors of a shadowy group operating within the Galactic Council. This faction believed Earth's sudden leap into interstellar space violated sacred treaties governing galactic stability. Worse still, they feared humanity might possess forbidden knowledge stolen from ancient civilizations, or worse, develop weapons capable of challenging even the Council's dominance. Determined to expose the truth, Hyun-soo decided to confront Ji-eun directly. Late one night, he tracked her down to her lab, where she was poring over data streams from the chrono engine. Her face was pale with exhaustion, dark circles underlining her eyes. When Hyun-soo entered, she looked up wearily. "What do you want now?" she asked, her tone sharp but tired. "I need to know everything," Hyun-soo replied, pulling up a chair. "Not just about the engine, but about what's really going on here. Why are those aliens so interested in us?" Ji-eun sighed, rubbing her temples. "You think I have all the answers? Trust me, I don't." "But you know more than you're saying," Hyun-soo pressed. "People deserve to know if we're in danger." For a moment, Ji-eun hesitated. Then, lowering her voice, she admitted, "There are whispers, rumors, that some factions in the council see us as a threat. They think we've accessed knowledge we shouldn't have." Hyun-soo leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "And is that true? Did someone give you alien tech to build that engine?" Ji-eun shook her head. "No one gave me anything. The engine was my design based on years of research, but—" She trailed off, biting her lip. "But what?" Hyun-soo urged. "There are things I haven't told anyone. Not even the council," Ji-eun confessed. "When I activated the engine, I detected echoes, patterns in space-time that shouldn't exist. It's like we tapped into something ancient, something bigger than us." Hyun-soo frowned, processing her words. "Are you saying the engine unlocked something dangerous?" "I don't know," Ji-eun admitted. "But whatever it is, it's drawing attention from the council and others." As Hyun-soo absorbed this revelation, he realized the stakes were higher than he'd imagined. If Earth's arrival had awakened forces beyond their understanding, humanity was walking a razor-thin line between survival and destruction. While Ji-eun grappled with her conscience, Hae-jin confronted Yoon-seok about his growing suspicions. The two had formed a tentative friendship during their time on Earth, bonding over shared concerns about the mission's direction. One night, as they sat together near the base's observation deck, Hae-jin voiced his worries. "You've been acting strange lately," Hae-jin said, his gills fluttering slightly. "What's bothering you?" Yoon-seok hesitated before answering. "I think there's a hidden agenda behind this whole operation. Some council members aren't here to help. They're here to exploit Earth's technology." Hae-jin's eyes widened. "Exploit? Are you sure?" "I'm not sure of anything," Yoon-seok admitted. "But I've seen enough to know we can't trust everyone in the council. And if we're not careful, humanity could end up paying the price." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message from Su-min. She summoned them to the command center immediately, her tone grave. When they arrived, they found her pacing anxiously, flanked by several council members. "We have a problem," Su-min announced without preamble. "Reports indicate that hostile fleets are mobilizing in nearby sectors. They view Earth's presence as a violation of galactic law, and they're preparing to act." A chill ran through the room. Everyone understood the implications. If these factions attacked, Earth would be caught in the crossfire. Even with the energy shield providing some protection, humanity stood little chance against advanced alien weaponry. Su-min turned to Ji-eun. "We need to stabilize the shield and fast. If we can't protect Earth, we'll lose any chance of peaceful resolution. Ji-un nodded grimly. I'll do everything I can, but I'll need your full support. As the meeting broke up, Hai-Jin pulled Yoon-seok aside. If what you suspect is true, we can't let the Council use Earth as a pawn, he said quietly. We have to find a way to protect humanity, even if it means going against our own leaders. Yoon-seok studied him for a moment, then nodded. Agreed. But we'll have to tread carefully. One wrong move, and we could make things worse. Over the next few days, tensions escalated both inside and outside the base. Hostile fleets drew closer, their movements monitored closely by Earth's newly formed defense networks. Governments scrambled to prepare for potential conflict, deploying troops and fortifying key locations. Meanwhile, public opinion swung wildly between hope and despair, fueled by conflicting reports in the media. Yoon-soo published another explosive article detailing the looming threat from alien factions and accusing the Council of withholding vital information. The backlash was immediate. Protests erupted worldwide, with people demanding transparency and accountability. Some called for surrender, believing resistance was futile. Others rallied behind calls for unity, urging humanity to stand firm against aggression. Amid the chaos, Ji-un made a breakthrough. Analyzing the patterns she'd detected during the engine's activation, she discovered something extraordinary. Earth's movement hadn't been random. The chrono engine had locked onto coordinates aligned with a dormant wormhole network, a vast web of pathways connecting distant regions of the galaxy. Excited by her discovery, Ji-un shared the news with Sumin and her team. If we can reactivate the network, she explained, we might be able to create safe passage for Earth and anyone else who wants to join us. Sumin listened intently, her expression thoughtful. This could change everything, she said finally. But activating the network won't be easy. It will require cooperation and sacrifice from everyone involved. As plans began taking shape, Hai-Jin and Yoon-seok found themselves at odds over how best to proceed. Hai-Jin advocated for full transparency, believing humanity deserved to know the risks and rewards of such a bold move. Yoon-seok argued for caution, fearing that revealing too much might provoke panic or betrayal. Their disagreement came to a head during a heated argument in the base's command center. Voices rose as tempers flared, drawing the attention of others nearby. Just as it seemed the situation might spiral out of control, Ji-un intervened. "Stop!" she shouted, stepping between them. "Fighting each other won't solve anything. We need to focus on what matters, protecting Earth and finding a way forward." Her words struck a nerve. Both men fell silent, realizing she was right. Whatever differences they had, they shared a common goal: ensuring humanity's survival in a galaxy that viewed them as either a curiosity or a threat. With time running out and enemies closing in, alliances began to form. Ji-un, Hai-Jin, and Yoon-seok resolved to work together, putting aside their doubts and fears for the greater good. Even Hyun-soo, whose relentless pursuit of the truth had often caused friction, agreed to cooperate, for now. As Earth braced for what lay ahead, one thing became clear. Humanity's fate rested not just on technology or strategy, but on trust. Trust in each other, trust in their newfound allies, and trust in the belief that even the smallest spark could ignite change across the stars. The fragile alliance between humanity and the Galactic Council began to crack under the weight of mounting pressure. Hostile alien fleets were closing in, their intentions clear. Earth's sudden arrival had disrupted the delicate balance of power in the galaxy, and they weren't willing to tolerate it. Back on Earth, tensions simmered as governments debated whether to fight or surrender. Meanwhile, Ji-un worked tirelessly to stabilize the chrono engine and activate the dormant wormhole network, a risky but potentially life-saving plan. Amid the chaos, Hyun-soo published another explosive article. This time, he revealed footage implicating Sumin, the council leader, in covert operations aimed at sabotaging Earth's defenses. The video showed Sumin meeting secretly with military advisors, discussing strategies to seize control of the chrono engine. It was damning evidence that painted the council not as saviors, but as manipulators with hidden agendas. Public outrage erupted almost instantly. Protesters took to the streets, accusing the council of betrayal. Social media buzzed with accusations and conspiracy theories. Some called for immediate retaliation against the council, while others demanded answers from their own leaders. Governments around the world scrambled to respond, caught between maintaining order and addressing growing distrust. Ji-yeon confronted Su-min directly, her anger barely contained. "Is this true?" she demanded, slamming a tablet displaying Hyun-soo's article onto the table during an emergency meeting. "Were you planning to take the engine from us?" Su-min's calm demeanor faltered for the first time. She glanced at the footage, then sighed deeply. "It's more complicated than it seems," she admitted. "There are factions within the Council who believe Earth's technology poses a threat to galactic stability. They pressured me to consider extreme measures." Hae-jin, standing nearby, felt a pang of disappointment. He had trusted Su-min, seeing her as a voice of reason in a sea of uncertainty. Now that trust was shattered. "You should have told us," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Keeping secrets only makes things worse." Yoon-seok, ever the strategist, remained silent, his sharp eyes scanning the room. He had suspected something like this all along, but hearing it confirmed changed everything. If the council couldn't be trusted, who could? And what did that mean for humanity's survival? Hyun-soo's exposé created a rift, not just between humans and aliens, but also among the council members themselves. Hae-jin found himself torn between loyalty to his people and his growing respect for humanity. When he questioned Su-min privately, she defended her actions, claiming they were necessary to maintain peace in the galaxy. "We can't let fear dictate our decisions," Hae-jin argued, his frustration evident. "If we betray Earth now, we'll never earn their trust." Su-min nodded reluctantly. "You're right. But remember, Hae-jin, trust is a two-way street. Humanity must prove itself too." While Hae-jin wrestled with his doubts, Yoon-seok uncovered a shocking truth. During a routine security sweep, he intercepted encrypted communications revealing that Yoon-seok's own government had been secretly collaborating with rogue elements within the council. Their goal? To overthrow Su-min and seize control of Earth's resources for themselves. Betrayal cut deep, especially when it came from someone you once respected. Hae-jin confronted Yoon-seok aboard the council flagship, demanding answers. "How long have you known about this?" Hae-jin asked, his voice trembling with anger. Yoon-seok hesitated before responding. "Long enough," he admitted finally, "but I didn't agree with their methods. I stayed involved to protect Earth. And you." Hae-jin stared at him, torn, between disbelief and gratitude. "Protecting Earth doesn't mean betraying your own kind," he shot back. "What happens if they succeed? Do you think humanity will forgive you?" "I don't care about forgiveness," Yoon-seok replied coldly. "I care about survival. If taking down Su-min saves Earth, then so be it." Their argument escalated into a heated exchange, drawing the attention of nearby crew members. Voices rose until Su-min herself intervened, stepping between them. "Enough," she commanded, her tone leaving no room for argument. "We don't have time for infighting. Our enemies are closing in, and unless we act together, none of us will survive." Reluctantly, both men backed down, though the tension between them remained palpable. For now, they agreed to focus on the bigger picture, activating the wormhole network and ensuring Earth's escape. But the seeds of mistrust had been planted, threatening to unravel years of diplomatic progress. Back on Earth, Ji-yeon faced her own challenges. Public opinion had turned against her after Hyun-soo's article implicated her team in the council's alleged sabotage plot. Protesters gathered outside her lab, shouting accusations and demanding answers. Government officials pressured her to hand over the chrono engine, fearing its misuse, or worse, theft by rogue factions. Despite the backlash, Ji-yeon refused to give up. She knew the chrono engine was humanity's only hope for survival. Working around the clock, she fine-tuned the calculations needed to activate the wormhole network. Every equation brought her closer to unlocking a pathway to safety, but also closer to risking catastrophic failure. One evening, as she reviewed data streams late into the night, Hyun-soo appeared at her door. His expression was unusually serious, lacking its usual edge of skepticism. I owe you an apology, he said quietly. Ji-yoon raised an eyebrow, surprised. For what? For doubting you, Hyun-soo admitted. I thought exposing the truth would help, but all it did was cause more chaos. Maybe transparency isn't always the answer. Ji-yoon sighed, leaning back in her chair. Transparency is important, but timing matters too. Right now, we need unity, not division. Hyun-soo nodded, looking genuinely remorseful. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Just tell me how I can help. For the first time in days, Ji-yoon felt a flicker of hope. Maybe there was still a chance to turn things around if everyone worked together. As the final preparations for activating the wormhole network began, alliances shifted rapidly. Sumin rallied moderate council members to support Ji-yoon's plan, even as extremists condemned it as reckless. Haijin chose to side with humanity, believing in their potential for greatness despite their flaws. Together, they forged a fragile coalition united by one shared goal: survival. Enemy fleets drew closer, their weapons primed for attack. Time was running out, and the stakes had never been higher. Activating the wormhole network would require precision, coordination, and trust. Without it, humanity's journey might end before it truly began. In the face of betrayal and uncertainty, one thing became clear. Earth's arrival had forced every species involved to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves. Whether they emerged stronger or fell apart depended on the choices they made next.